Episode number 50, Dana Osborne.
All right, cut to edge of stage. Great. All right, color frost.
Check. 1, 2, 3. Check.
Stand by, please. Heads to half, heads out, letting cues 1 through 10, down cues 1 through 10.
Welcome back to The Title Block, a podcast about Canadian theatre designers, their history, and their craft. I am, as usual, your host, Michael Cruz, and this time I have an interview with set and costume designer Dana Osborne, recorded in July of 2018 in Niagara-on-the-Lake at the Shaw Festival. Dana is charming and talented, and it was so great to catch up with her this summer. She and I talk about her early wardrobe career at a few of the greatest shops in Canada, and go on to talk about buying, her transition to set design, and her work over the past 20 years. Now, I have finalized my trip to Vancouver coming this December, and I'll be interviewing Mary Kerr, Susan Benson, and Michael Whitfield over on the island, and Robert Sondergaard, Mara Gottler, Robert Gardner, Scott Miller, who's a theatre consultant based in Vancouver. Just so many great designers. I still have a few slots left, so there will be a bunch of interviews from the West Coast to share with the rest of the country come the new year. And as I mentioned on the last Bellows episode, those who subscribe through Patreon are starting to get some special content not available publicly. If you want to hear what lighting designer Michelle Ramsey has been up to since we first chatted in 2014, you'll have to become a patron and throw the show some bucks. And now my interview with set and costume designer Dana Osborne. Originally from a small town on Vancouver Island, set and costume designer Dana Osborne has forged a career starting from the top and rolling across Canada. Dana joins me from the library at the Shaw Festival in July of 2018. Dana, welcome to the Title Block.
Thank you. I'm really happy to be here.
Awesome.
I'm nervous, but that's okay.
Nothing. We've been talking for like a half an hour already, so there should be no nerves. But I understand. You can just relax. It's fine. So you started, tell me about this small town of Vancouver Island. You were born in Duncan?
I was born in Duncan,
Where
BC.
the hell is Duncan?
Yeah, it's like an hour north from Victoria. So if you're like going up the Malhat, there is a Cowichan Valley, and it's in the Cowichan Valley. It's on the highway. It's called the City of Totems. It has the world's largest hockey stick that lights up at night. But I grew up there. I was born and raised there. My father had a real estate company, and we moved 14 times in that small little town.
That's remarkable.
Yeah.
Were you up at night because of the light from the hockey stick?
No, it did not give me the glare.
Thank God.
But it was like a real town full of, we used to call them jocks and shrubs. I guess they called skids here, but it was like, that was sort of the culture. And I ended up going to the girls' private school there. So I was like in this whole other side world of that as well. But yeah.
And then you ended up at York University in Toronto.
I had an art teacher for grade 11 and 12 who was from Ontario and was like, if you're going to do theater, you should go to York. And so they had auditions in Vancouver. I remember going over and doing that. And it was a joint audition with them and UBC. Okay. And I got into both of those, but York offered a scholarship. And I was just desperate to get away from Duncan. I really wanted to go elsewhere.
You and Michelle Ramsey have a very similar story.
We do. Like, go! Just go! Run! Yeah.
Hilarious. And she was 1 year behind you.
Yeah, I think so.
York.
Yeah, because I got mono on one crew and she had to take over for me. I was like, I'm so sorry. I should stop making out. Anyway.
Yes, exactly. As not a doctor, I don't think you have to worry about it. So this was in the early 90s. Yeah. You graduated York in 96.
Yeah.
Did you know that you wanted to be a designer when you went to York?
No. When I went to York, I was going to be an actress. I was going to be an actress or an actor. And I quickly realized, I was 18 and I had been sort of sheltered in my little life. So I feel university was about growing up as a person and not necessarily about the whole theater experience. So when I got there, but I had seen all the other parts. I didn't want to go home. I didn't want to be a failure in my book at that point. Too scared to fail. but I wanted to do something that was still hands-on in theater. So I got into the production corps. I mean, the only good grade I really got that year was on the design project, which was kind of funny. And I went into the production, and then in the third and fourth year, you switched into design, and I applied for that and got into that. And so by the end of it, it seemed to be what was fitting. I don't think I really understood what design is in the big scheme. You just sort of idealize it and off you go and figure it out. But I wanted to be hands-on.
So that's it. I am realizing something I did not realize when I went through the first time university so many years ago, was that you are not really. I mean, the job of theater school is not to turn you into a designer. It's to sort of give you a bunch of skills.
Yeah.
So then you can go out and apprentice.
Totally, it's just like a little thin layer, and I think if you can get through that, I think the other thing too is. It's not an easy life. It's a really difficult thing to maintain. I even look at my class, and I had a pretty strong class of 8 people, and I think I'm the only one left designing. There are still a few that work in theater, but they're not doing it anymore. So, and again, I don't really know how I made it all the way, just the way things go. But it is just that thin layer, and then you have to go out and do it. You just have to. And again, being at York, you weren't at Ryerson, you weren't at Toronto, so you weren't getting into the independent scene either, as much as it was down there. So there was still a big hurdle into getting into the Toronto scene, which I never really got into. I was the dork on the side that kind of was like, can I go to some other place? Anyway.
It is not unusual. That's not an unusual story. I feel like people coming from. I mean, this is usually a story told by people coming from, Edmonton or Vancouver or Halifax or Montreal or whatever, come to Toronto and go, how do I break into this weird clique? Mm-hmm. But even from York, right, when you're not working downtown in the independent theater, you still have those same kind of problems. Yeah. Now, did you do you remember who was in your cohort at York?
At York, yeah. Jason Bendig, who's now the head of wardrobe here, was in my class. Mario Moreira was behind me, and I think he does film now. Dieter Schurig, who designed for a while, and now he is an environmental designer. Carla Falconbridge, no idea. Amy Cummings, who is at the COC in props.
And props, yeah. I worked with Amy at Blythe.
And then in front of me was Alison Sharpe, I want to say, and she designs IKEA rooms, which I was like, oh, that is the best job.
That sounds like a great job. I want that job.
I know. And I think, and there was one other woman, Cassandra, and I don't think she's in theater at all anymore. Yeah.
It is kind of the story, eh? You look beside you and look beside you, and you're like, well, you're going to be the only one who's left.
Totally.
It's interesting. Okay, so what did you do after you left? You went into...
during the summers, I started to work at Wonderland. One of my best friends was Megan Callan, and she worked there. And, so we got into that group. So I did 3 summers there. And then I don't know how I got into the cruise ship thing, but I was like, I'm going to apply for a cruise ship. I think because Peter McBoyle was doing cruise ships or something. So I applied, and they took me, and I left in October. I think it was snowing as I got to the airport, and I came back in April, and I was just the wardrobe person, the one wardrobe person on the ship. It was maybe a cast of 12 for Norwegian Cruise Lines. It was redonkulous. It was crazy. I maybe worked, 25 hours a week. They were paying me $400 US cash. I drank a lot and had lots of fun. And it was actually probably the right thing in the sense of the big release from the pressures of school. It was just insanity. And also I realized how much I sort of love the Caribbean. So I did that, and I was like, I'm going to go back. I'm going to do this. I'm going to go back. And I never went back. And so I came back and went back to Wonderland, and then I was trying to get in at the COC because I think Jason was working there, and he was like, you should try, come. And I apprenticed for 3 weeks, and it was a Michael Levine opera, the one with the hill. I'm trying to remember which that was. Anyway.
It wasn't Rigoletto.
It wasn't Rigoletto. No. It was like the naked bodies. Everyone was wearing, remember that one?
I remember the photo from it, but I
had
no idea
what that was. Yeah.
I can look it up. I'll do an image.
Yeah. And then there was, anyway, and so everyone had to be in dance belts, or they were topless or whatever it was. And I had to work on that. And one of my jobs was to make sure that the male supers put their dance belts on right. And I remember like being downstairs being like, I'm sorry, can you go back and turn it around? You have it on backwards. And so, put their diapers back on. And so that was that job. And then they brought me back to make some chicken feet with Jeff Churchill, who's now like one of the best bootmakers in the universe.
Okay, you have to describe what the chicken feet were
chicken
for.
feet. They were for cunning little vixens, and then we had to make chicken feet. So I just remember sitting there making chicken feet. And I guess at that time they were looking for an assistant head of wardrobe at Shaw, and Sharon Secord had called Carol Holland, who was running COC, and she said, "You should interview this person." And so Carol came up and said, "By the way, you're going to Shaw to have an interview. This is the plan." And I had to rent a car, or did I borrow a car? Maybe I borrowed Jason's car. Came down, knew that I got the job, like crying on the way back because I was like, I have to move to Niagara. But again, yeah. So then that was, I was the assistant head of wardrobe while you were here. I was here in 98, 99.
Right, and I was here 97 to 99, so yeah that makes sense.
It was great years, great stuff.
So much fun.
I mean, Shaw's great,
Yeah.
but like it was really fun. It was Newton. It was, it was crazy, and what a beautiful place to be.
It really is. I'm like, as much as the tourists become a bit tedious downtown, the amount of history in Niagara Lake and the surrounding Queenston, Lewiston, all those things like that is remarkable, and the forts that are plopped into the golf course and things like that. I always found a remarkable place to be. And plus, not only that, but you're in this. We work in so much isolation most of the time. Even in indie theater, if you're working with actors, you're still working just within that one show, and you never get to see anybody else. But you come down here, it's a giant company of people to hang out with.
And it was there was a feeling of family in a way that because even when I left, they gave me like this huge gift certificate, and it was sort of from like all the company too, which was, it was so thoughtful. And I remember just being so touched by these people trying to help me with the rest of my life, and people moving me up to Toronto and stuff like that. So it was, I found the winters hard here when there was nothing going on. It was great when the shows were on and you were in it. And it was such a fantastic place to learn about rep theater and to read plays I hadn't read before. I remember getting the stack of plays and just these things I had not known. It was really exciting. And I think absolutely like a huge foundation and then it was also, they didn't have assistant designers that did costume. So as the assistant, whatever I was, head of wardrobe, you ended up doing all those little jobs sort of with these designers. And I was getting like Sue LePage and Charlotte Dean and all these fantastic people that it was just dynamite. Yeah.
Yeah, that's remarkable. Great. And so how long were you here for?
Sort of, I think like 18 months. I think, or it was like a year and 2 seasons essentially. But I left in September. I got a phone call from Brenda Clark, who was going to start The Lion King, and she was trying to build a coordinating team for that. And she was like, "Do you want to come and do this?" And I was ready. I wanted to get back to the city, and this was huge. So I left in September and started on The Lion King and Mamma Mia, and stayed with the Merbishes at Seamless Costumes for, I think, 2 years, something like that, a year and a half.
Is that shop still open?
No, they closed it. Well, they closed it and then sold it to Kelly. Her last name is going to... Anyway, someone who had worked there as the manager bought the shop, and so has brought it up, but it's not under the Merbish umbrella anymore. Okay. Yeah. That's a big build, Lion King. And I mean, Mamma Mia is pretty conventional, but Lion King.
Lion King
was huge. Build. And I think that was 2000 or whatever it was, and I think the budget was still around like 1.2 million for the costumes alone. So it was in the $1 million range, and it was a lot of artists from Stratford, artists around Toronto. There was a lot of coordinating, a lot of dyeing, things that I had never experienced before. 12 Bibles coming up. Bibles are the costume Bibles that have all the information and the dye things. It was so great, but insane. Like, you worked like a mad person.
Can you remember any interesting things you had to build that were like especially tricky or?
Yeah, all of it was tricky. I think things that stuck with me were some of the hand beading that was being done and the patterns, and also looking at different materials to become beautiful artistic costume things. Like a lot of going to all the the fake flower markets, and those would all turn into these headpieces, and all the different types of dyeing that we were doing. Also, there was things like technical harnesses inside of costumes, which are interesting, and how that's all being held up. At one point, when the hyenas it is a stressful hyena costume on the body in that sort of front position. So I ended up spending a lot of time going to the chiropractor sometimes with the artist, just to be the wardrobe person that was there, if there was anything we could do to modify the pitch of the costume. It was kind of everything in a way. Like I had to call the alarm company to set up the alarm on the building, like weird things I had never done before. And the Mauritius did not give you credit cards. They gave you cash. So once I had to go downtown and pick up $18,000 in cash. Oh my God. And bring it back to the shop and hide it in my fridge. Like something really bizarre. So like this huge, things you don't encounter anymore.
That is so strange.
Yeah.
Like, just give them a credit card. You can check out with the bank what happened. They have to work in cash.
Yeah, I remember I was in a little cockroach infested apartment,
Sure.
one room, and I would just open my little box and take out a couple $1,000 and then go to work and go to Holt's.
Shopping for beach.
Shopping for stuff for Mamma Mia.
That's funny.
Very strange.
I remember, I find it remarkable that something like The Lion King, which was such a huge hit in New York, ran forever, and played in the
still
West.
running, isn't
still
it?
running,
Yeah.
still running in New York.
Yeah.
Ran like there was a tour. I'm sure there was a tour. There was a West End production that's played like all over the world.
Yeah.
Was Toronto? I feel like Toronto was one of the first productions outside of New York.
I feel like it was too, and there was something that happened in them working with those Toronto artists, that there's a bunch of those Toronto people that do all the stuff now. Right. Like I know Monica Vianney does a lot of the hats, and Leslie Norgate. They still have sort of artistic control they're still the ones they go to for the price point and everything, and
right,
and they're replicating them.
Yeah, I find like you'd think that they would go, we built the show. All right, New York, where's the shop? I want the same thing again.
Yeah.
But
you know what, remember the dollar, right?
That's right. Yeah.
So doing it in Canada was a good thing for them. Yeah. And I think that probably still plays into a lot of what it is. So
yeah, that's a very good point. I remember working on The Lion King at Edge and Co. It wasn't Edge and Bratton at the time. It was still Edge.
Oh, right.
Because they had built it. It was a nightmare. Like all the mechanicals were all like E-switches, and I was working in the electrical department, and they were so desperate for people. I was like, hi, can you solder? Sure. Tomorrow, 8:00, show up at the shop. You're going to solder something. Like, okay, here's a digital control unit. Can you just here's how it goes together. Just solder that all. I'm like, oh my God, like people's safety. Yeah. So I was putting together relays and soldering power supplies for some ridiculous show. But it was madness. It was absolute madness. They were building 3 or 4 different Broadway shows in that same shop. The paint shop was in the same building as the welding shop. I suggest not doing that for those of you who want to plan. Yeah, especially when someone reverses the fans on the exhaust system. Bad idea. Yeah, it was just chaos. Wow. Chaos. But a beautiful show.
Beautiful show.
Remarkable.
I remember when the first part of the but I remember it's all like the whole wardrobe just started crying. And it could have been exhaustion, but we were all like, oh my gosh. But it was pretty amazing,
Remarkable. And so you worked there through that and Mamma Mia.
Yep. And then I was getting burnt out. It was pretty intense. I'd lost like 10 pounds and seriously had an eye twitch. Like I was like, la, 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 la. And I actually at one point was like, maybe I should go back to school and try acting. And I remember like booking an audition for Studio 58 and then getting there and being like, what am I thinking? Like just leaving. Like, no, you just need to be creative. I think that was it. I was always striving to do something creative. And so Jeff Churchill, who I used to make chicken feet with, was at Stratford as an assistant designer. And he was like, you should really apply for this program. And so I did. I didn't tell my bosses. And I forgot that everyone in theater knows everyone. So, of course, they called Brenda, who got really angry with me because I didn't tell her. But then Stratford, it was as a costume assistant for the next season, and they hired me. So I took that. The thing was about that, too, is making that choice. I was taking a 45% pay cut to go and work at Stratford. So I had to be ready for that. But I think I emotionally and physically, I was ready for a big change and a different option.
That's interesting. I remember at the show when I first got hired as an assistant lighting designer for the, oh my goodness, what's it called? In the fridge.
I know, the
There's
fridge is having a dance now.
Full of wine here for a
For
VIP.
For Stephen Fry.
Stephen Fry's wine fridge. It's going off in the background. I think my take home every week after I paid for a comms was $78 a week.
I remember even the COC, I was making $400 a week, I think, then too. And that was 97 or something, 96. And you're like trying to be like, I could eat this block of cheese and have 4 freezies and that shouldn't care, like it was pretty dire. Yeah. And I'm not a cook. So I was like, eat a can of tuna, have a nap. I don't know.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. What do you do? Right.
Yeah.
No, I know. You could, the advantage is you're in one place, not traveling around.
Yeah.
You're not eating in restaurants all day, but it's still, it was a struggle. Everything's gone. I think that, at least down here, Kevin Lamont has worked really hard to get the assistants paid more money, maybe not what they're worth, but no one ever gets paid what they're worth. And it certainly is a better place to work. So,
and I think we're all trying to talk openly about what we're getting paid these days too. So, like when I started Stratford, and that was 2001, I think, or 2001. I think I was making $625, and I had to fight for that extra $25. I had to pretend that someone else was getting. I don't know what I said to Lemke at the time, Doug Lemke. But I got the extra $25 because otherwise I would have had to suck it. And I was like, no, I have to. And I think the Mervishes then, they were paying too much. They were paying like $1,200. So it was just crazy. Like it was,
That's nuts. And then that season in 2001, you were with Michael Gianfrancesco?
Yep. Michael G was there and Lorenzo. It was all our first year.
Sounds great.
April Visco was there too. And I was assisting Francesca Callo on Twelfth Night. It was my first, and halfway through that, they were like, "Do you want to stay for the summer and do set and costume props with and assist Peter Hartwell?" And that was on Good Mother. Right. Yeah, so it was a really big, fun year.
And now now the pressure's on for me to interview April, because that'll be all 4 of you that I'll have interviewed. And that's this very special year at Stratford, 2001.
It was kind of fantastic. The Kat Kahubacek, who is a Montreal, I think she's a Montreal designer. I think she's still doing that. And Erin Felker. Yeah, it was a really great group of people. I remember it was just Lorenzo was the only person there on the first day, and like sitting down. And now, we're essentially brother and sister. So, I feel really lucky. Right time, right place, right time.
That's awesome. So now you got hired there as an assistant. You ended up designing there shortly thereafter, a couple of years later.
Yeah, I think 2003 maybe it was Agamemnon.
And was that your first costume design?
First, I did an independent show with Daryl Cloran in Theatre Front, maybe 2001, which was Mojo. And that was a costume design there. And then I may have done Theatre by the Bay, Romeo and Juliet or something. But yeah, it sort of was just a couple little things. And then suddenly I was doing a Stratford studio show. Right. Now, so it was, I'm sure it was surprising to people, but I think it was in the studio. They were trying to be innovative and maybe use younger designers and stuff like that. It was the second year of the studio, so I didn't get to do it in the first year, and I was, of course, like, I want to design. And Agamemnon was a great choice for me. It had to be mostly created from stock pieces with a few builds, and I had already established such a great relationship with the wardrobe that who are fantastic there, that they were very supportive, and I could really create and grow. So I really enjoyed that show.
Remarkable. I was I was offered the year before, the first year of the studio, I was
Oh,
offered to come
yeah.
down and work with Rob Thompson and Erica Hassel and be the sort of third LD in the space. I turned it down, which is the only thing I ever regret doing in my life.
What did you do instead?
I tried to keep my marriage together, which was unsuccessful.
Okay, right.
Yeah, it was not a very good choice for me. But I was also, that was only a couple years before I transitioned out of the business. So it's not a big deal. But I'm like, that would have been my in to Stratford.
Yeah,
Been like,
exactly.
and that studio, and that's what it should be, right? That studio space was built for that, right?
Yeah, it was. Because, my first year there, it was still the paint shop and the scene shop. So it was great. It was really great. And then again, I was being paired with Lorenzo on that show. And so we got paired together for the next year to do The Timon of Athens, which was sort of, for us, the breakout show for us there.
And what was I guess you guys did so well on
I think so. I mean, I can't say it was anything. It was Stephen Ouimet directing it.
Yeah.
So again, one of the best theater artists in Canada who had a very clear vision of what it was. And Lorenzo and I were crazy and young enough that we would try and push the concept on it a little bit here and there. It's funny because I just did Timon of Athens again, not last season, the season before. They wanted to bring it back, and again, Pete Donaldson, rest his soul. We had Joe Ziegler playing the part, but so much has changed in those 12 years, and the sense that we didn't have social media, we didn't have, we just had sort of flip phones. There was no Instagram and other things. So it plays so differently now than it did then, but it was doing the modern concept, and Stephen had very clear ideas and a fantastic cast. Like, it was Peter Donaldson, I love him, and Tom McCamus, and just fantastic people.
That's remarkable. And so when I described you as sort of starting from the top, this is what we're talking about. You never really did the indie circuit in Toronto and sort of 27 Fringe festivals and
no, and I again, I feel guilty and shitty about it. Like, it's, you sort of have that reverse shame that you haven't done enough of that. But somehow that seemed to just be how it worked for me. So in a way, people in Toronto, still, there's lots of people who I've never met, or they don't know who I am, and that's just how it is. And so I sort of had to fight myself back into doing Toronto stuff. And even when I get to do Toronto stuff, there's not a lot of time people can hire me for there was certainly, Ken did hire me for Factory a bunch of times, but I've never done a Tarragon show, and I've never done a Ken stage show, I don't think, like, unless it's a co-pro. But Soul Pepper certainly hired me in YPT and that kind of stuff. It's also, nowadays, now that I live in Stratford, do they want to pay for me to stay, right? And it's that negotiation. And sometimes I just sleep on a couch and do the show because I really want to do the show, especially when it comes to YPT, because I just think those shows are so important. But yeah, it's all in that sort of weird world.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic. And how did you feel about it seems like such a natural progression out of the wardrobe and into the designer's chair.
Yeah. Who knows? Like, maybe I was, maybe I sort of pushed the envelope, but I think as a person, I'm very observant. I learn by being in the room and in the moment. I have great respect for the body or what the actors need in their process, and then trusting the artistry of the people in the wardrobe. Because really, my whole thing is that design is an ensemble art, especially costume design, because you can draw it, you can do whatever, but it's your cutter and your tailor translating it to the next step. And every single person who touches it is going to make it different. So you really are just the force that's just encouraging everyone to take a little bit of artistic ownership and to get it where you want to go. And if everyone does that and feels something of the process, it will be 100 times better, especially when you get in the room, because the only thing you're working towards is that moment where you have it all together and the actors looks and it makes sense with what they're doing. So I think that flexibility is the most important part, get it there. So for me, yes, wardrobe was easy. It's also I don't want to say it was a feminine domain, but it was a lot of women. I had spent a lot of time in a girls' school. I sort of got that. Right, yes. I understood how all that worked. I felt comfortable in it. And yeah, I love it. Like, I love the wardrobes. They're just so amazing, and the people are great.
You've been working with some kind of incredible shops, like the top talent in the country, if not among the best in the world. Here at Shaw and Stratford and Mirvish, and COC. Even the wardrobe at Soulpepper, like the places that you're working have pretty high quality talent, right? Do you ever have to? I wonder if, because this is a collective endeavor, do you have to either accept or alter your expectation based on the talent of the people working on the costume? Like, if you don't have, there's an extraordinary. Is it Vincenzo?
Vincenzo was the tailor here. He's not here anymore, but yes,
like
Vincenzo.
You work with Vincenzo, and you can make certain choices.
Yeah.
You work with somebody else, and you may not be able to make the same choices.
Yeah.
So how does that affect your?
I think a lot of it too is as you grow as a costume designer, it's also being aware of what that fabric can do. Because a lot of time, when you're younger, you're gravitating towards something because of the color. And you're not actually thinking about what that fabric is gonna want to do, right? And so some of that is learning those tricks. And I think if I'm working at a wardrobe where I'm not quite sure that's going to be something they want to do or they can do, sometimes I will try and modify the design and rent some of it, and then they can modify it. So there's still, I don't want to make anyone feel that they're not ready for the project, but I want to make sure that we're all on the same page. And yes, you get to some stuff where you're like, okay, this is totally not working, and let's start from scratch. And so, but you certainly have to think about what you're getting into. I think it's responsible and it's proactive.
And do you ever feel the urge, because you had such a strong base of training, to sort of step in and go, just like, I can do this?
Oh my God, no, because I'm actually a terrible sewer. I mean, do not ask me to put a zipper in, because I will make it Velcro. Like, I'm okay under duress, like, but not ever to the level of these. Sometimes I say to them, like, they're running out of time. I'm like, what can I do? So they'll tell me what to do, and I'll be a junior sewer, right? Like, I can do that. I can do labels and snaps, but when it gets to the real things, you don't want me doing that.
Nice. You're there to make decisions and choices.
Sure.
Yeah, excellent. Forgive me if I'm wrong, but I remember the Sarajevo project being a pretty big deal in 2006.
I think it was. It was, again, they had gone over there and they had created the show with some of the artists that were in from Sarajevo. But for me, it wasn't a huge thing for me, because it was just sort of modern clothing. Not to say anything negative about modern clothing, but there gets to a point where you can only do so much in the creation. And also, when you're doing a show in modern, the actor knows that vocabulary. So you really end up having a lot more conversations with them of because they have a very clear idea of what they think the character is. So that is certainly a skill that you need to work on, because most modern shows require that. But it can be really tough, because you shop your guts out. You're just shopping and shopping and shopping some more.
And just to wrap that up, that was another Daryl Cloran piece by Theatre Front. That's an interesting question, though. What kind of tips do you have for people who are trying to negotiate what your vision is and what the actor's vision is? Because this is a very personal thing to them, but you also have to think about the whole picture and the set and
all that stuff. I think sometimes it's just letting them be heard, right? It's also having your research and where you started with it. Also including the director, because it's not only you. The director has to either be supporting you in this decision or not. Yeah, and I think when you're in a fitting room too with an actor and they put some clothes on, usually their hands will go to the place they're not happy. So if you you're sort of letting them stand in the moment and just pay attention to what's happening, and just simply asking them like, "Do you want me to do something here? Are you having a thing?" And you can get the conversation going, because ideally, getting them on your side, I feel it works for me, is going to make the whole process be so much smoother, and they will be appreciative, when they get there. Some actors hate clothes. Some actors hate to shop. Some actors don't like to look in the mirror. So then you have them facing you the whole time, and they're not aware. So it doesn't actually feed into their creative process. So you just have to adapt.
I never thought an actor would share my fear of looking in mirrors. That's interesting.
Yeah, there's one in particular that will not. And so we just set up the room that everything is the other way. And I know him well enough that I just do it. Or I sometimes do close fittings where there's no one else but me and the actor.
Sure.
So certainly with Amanda Plummer, she needed a closed room. There's some people like that you end up sitting in a room on a Saturday pulling on fabric and things like that.
Well, I mean, it's not that surprising in the end when you think about how vulnerable actors are on stage, right? And how vulnerable they need to be. So that can be quite a high anxiety experience, I imagine.
I think what the moments I don't like is when an actor tries to tell the tailor or the cutter what's wrong with, like in the sense of, I think this shape is wrong or whatever. Then the power balance is off in the room. It needs to be. And there's been a couple moments like that, but usually it's pretty smooth.
Interesting. For as many years as I've been in theater, the whole fitting, the idea of a fitting is quite alien to me.
Yeah.
Which I feel bad about. I feel like I should have gotten more exposure to that when I was in.
And sometimes you're doing a fitting in a bathroom, public bathroom somewhere, right? But when it's a real fitting room, I think another thing too is, and I've mentioned this to a couple younger designers, is also like if the fitting is going south and someone's going to start saying things that are offensive, or just leave. Like you can just leave and the fitting is done. Right. That's how you go before something gets thrown at you or words. Right. Just leave.
Just leave.
So, yeah.
Nice. That's a good tip, a pro tip.
Yeah.
So the first musical we'll get to your set and your set stuff as well, because very soon after there, in 2006, you were working on set design as well.
Yeah, trying to. It's again, I find in the Canadian theater model, doing set and costume is sort of the only way to survive financially. And I'm also, as a costume designer, it got to a point where I was like, I can do this, And I really, when I was in school, I did sets. I really didn't do costumes. So, and having my parents be into real estate, I spent a lot of time on a building site, and I think I have some spatial awareness. So, I was ready for a more to be challenged and have that sort of control.
Did you do any set assisting at Stratford, or was it just?
Yes, I did. You did. Yeah. Again. At that stage of the game, you were doing little drafting. Most of the drafting was done. But yes, I sort of did one for Cameron Porteous and for Ann Curtis and Peter that year. It's the model building, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
How was working with Cameron?
Good. It was good. It was a big Manette musical, so a bit different for him.
Yeah,
I think. And I'm not sure if it was his first Stratford show, so it was getting used to the big thing. So I think it was successful. It's not the easiest musical to do, Gigi, Oh, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not sure anyone's going to do Gigi for a long time.
That's a great thing. I'll have to look back at that. That's interesting. Yeah. I'm sorry I didn't see it now.
Yeah.
I was kind of busy. That's fascinating. All right. What else do we have on here? I'm looking, for those of you who are not, can't see through the microphone, I'm looking at Dana's CV. Soul Pepper.
Yeah.
What was your into Soul Pepper? Was that just a natural evolution out of your work from Stratford and Shaw? I mean, it seems like
you know what?
obvious.
It's terribly. My best friend Claire Sakaki was a producer there, and I think she introduced me to them. And I think actually the first show I did was with Albert then, and Lorenzo. Again, I just follow Lorenzo around really. Yeah, why not? And then I started working with Morris and Ken there, and then onwards from that. Yeah.
That's great. Have you done a bunch of Morris and Ken shows?
I have done a few, yeah.
What's your...
Mostly because Ken hates doing costumes.
I know. We had a conversation about that last year.
Yeah.
And how do you fit into that it's usually
dynamic?
The dynamic is usually
it's
Ellen
pretty
Brody,
good.
right?
I mean, I think you also with them, I totally, absolutely understand that Ken will be the production designer, sort of more in that way. And to listen to him and take his notes and that kind of stuff. And I understand their aesthetic. And I ended up meeting them because Charlotte was doing something for them at Soul Pepper, and she had to go off to another show. So I did just the tech period. And we had a few tech explosions on that. And I think I just behaved well enough. And Morris and Ken had hired me by then to do Moby Dick with them at the studio, right? So then we had a really wonderful... ensemble collaborative experience. It was really one of those shows that I hadn't really had an opportunity to do, where you were in the rehearsal room every single day, and the budget was so small, so we were really thinking in creative ways to try and make this happen. It was one of the best experiences I ever had. It will be one of my favorite shows forever. Yeah.
Hi there. Yeah, I know this interview is going really well, but before you skip ahead, just shuffle over to the show notes if you could and click on the link to the Patreon page for the title block. It does cost money to produce this time capsule of Canadian theater design history, and for a couple of bucks an episode, you can ensure that I can continue to put out great interviews with designers like Dana Osborne. Go to patreon.com/the title block podcast and donate now. Thank you for your help. Tell me about your relationship with Donna Fiore.
Oh, Donna. Well, Donna, actually, I met mostly on that Gigi, because she was the choreographer on that. And again, Donna is it's a very athletic type of dance, very strong. And because I used to dance as a kid, I have an idea of what that movement needs to be. And she wanted like this huge can number, and it came out of nowhere, and there was no budget, and somehow we made it happen. So I was in the good books, sort of thing, because she could talk to me about that kind of stuff. And then I can't remember the first show I did with her. Maybe it was...
Let me check the magic list.
Was it Charlie Brown?
I think it was Charlie Brown.
Maybe it was Charlie Brown. Yeah, she hired me for Charlie Brown, and it went really well. We just tried to, I mean, again, the Charlie Brown's hard. You're trying to make it kind of look like the show and not be the show and whatever it was. And then she hired me for Fiddler on the Roof. And I think that's really where we hit it off, because it's Fiddler on the Roof. One of the best shows ever.
That was a remarkable show. I did see that show.
Did you see that? Then that one was the Scott Wentworth. Are you thinking about the Brent Carver? Oh. See, it's hard.
When was the Brent Carver? Was that
2016? That was 2001 or something.
No. I'm talking about the 2013. Yeah. Because I brought my mother to see it. I'm a huge fan of Fiddler on the Roof.
Oh, I love the score.
I saw it first. I saw the movie.
Yeah.
This is terrible. When I was an assistant here, I was terribly in love in 1998. And it was the first time I was ever in love with anybody. Like, I was just, and we were apart. This was the marriage that didn't work out.
Right.
Later,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Making this is a full circle conversation we're having today. I'm sharing a lot more than I usually do. But we were terribly, terribly in love. And I had been here, and I was home one night and just lonely as hell. And somehow I'd gotten a hold of some pot, which I don't smoke at all. Nowadays, I do not enjoy any of that stuff. But back then, whatever, like it comes into your possession. And I thought, I'm going to sit down and watch Fiddler on the Roof, which I've never seen. And I'm going to get really, really high and eat ice cream. And so I got my Chunky Monkey, and and I was a mess. I was a mess.
So
I watched the entire
totally.
movie. Oh my god, it's like the first time I've ever seen love. I was just the movie was extraordinary, and so when I went back to see the stage play, I brought my mother, who loves musical theater, to Stratford, and that was a remarkable production. I loved everything about it.
It was super special. I did the show as a kid. It was my first musical theater show, and I played Hava, the daughter that takes off with the. Anyway, and so I just that score. I just love that score. And it was Alan Moyer, who's a sort of a Broadway designer, came into this set, so it was really exciting to be around with him and to do it. Yeah, and I loved it. You know, Donna is fierce. Like, she grabs onto that musical and she does not let go until the very end. And so dedicated, so strong. Watching her she does this rehearsal with the drummer in the room where she's putting all the kicks. And she just sits there with him while everyone's dancing and telling her where she wants the punctuation. Like, someone who really looks at the musical, every section of it. So I love her. She's pretty amazing. And so doing these, like, I've learned a lot. And I really appreciate her ability. She's, yeah. Her email is force, and I always laugh because I'm like, yes, you are a force, full on.
Somebody just turn my mic up here. Sorry. Working in the Stratford and Shaw machine, we've talked about this before on the podcast about the sort of choices you have to defer and the choices you have to make early. In a working in an environment like it sounds like with Donna Fiore, it sounds like there can be choices maybe made later or discovered later because you're working so intensely throughout from start to finish.
Yeah.
It seems to me like because you've worked in this environment and this is where you started, that it seems natural that you'd be comfortable trying to keep all those balls in the air while you manage the time. Has it been difficult? What things do you find that you can't do that you wish you could? And how do you approach making those choices?
Sometimes I'll flag them. Like, if I know, the other thing too is they ask us to do it so early. Like, they're asking me now to be working on next season, and I haven't even opened the scripts. So I try and leave. I try to be like, I think this is this, but this whole thing, let's leave this a bit loose, or we over budget in this particular area, so then we've got some room to move once we get into those things. Also, knowing it's Donna, and if some of these giant shows that we do now, sometimes I know I'm going to have to build the dancer costumes because they will not last 130 shows or whatever it is. So in a way, I have to start looking at using stock for leads early. What can I change? What can I move around? And also, because I've been part of these machines for a while, I know the actors quite well in a way, so I'm sort of expecting some stuff that's going to come out, or this and that, or, when there's also things that some of these actors, when they show up, they've had their 3 months off, and they've gone south, and they haven't worked out, and they haven't, so their shape is very different, their shape is coming back, and I need to give them time so when they're up to physical shape again, because that was going to change the costume a lot, or at least, we can get the costume to a point where it's not finished, so we could take it in, or whatever's going to happen. So, but I think it's communication. Like, no, if you have an idea, something's going to explode in your face. And I am like the person will go in and be like, I missed this. I don't really want to point the blame at other people. There's no point. So I'm like, this is my shitstorm, and let's think it out. And sometimes people freak out, and it will take time, and or you have to say no. That happens too. Yeah. But yeah, the more you can sort of look ahead. I'm that person that is always thinking, like, if this happens, I'm going to do this. If this happens, I'm going to do this. Like, that's just how my brain works. I think it's from my mother. Yeah.
Is there any special way that you organize yourself to keep all those ideas straight? Or is it just
no, maybe that's notebook? Why we were joking earlier about how I'm not really a podcast person because I just like silence. And maybe it's me sitting around trying to put those things together. Yeah, they're just there firing all the time. But yeah, again, I don't even paint the drawings until I buy the fabric.
Right.
In a way, because I somehow I can, but when I go into a store and start buying the fabric, the palette just happens. And then obviously I think it's been in me already and it's there, but until I can start putting all the things together, there's no point in me pushing myself when we're not ready to go there. It's not really going to change what the cutter is going to do. And in a way, sometimes they like these black and white pencil drawings because then they can really see the seam lines that I'm drawing, and we can talk about, okay, that could never happen. Right. And let's change it here before it gets obscured by paint or whatever that is.
And let's talk about shopping. Something that I don't like, but I can only imagine that you have to enjoy it when you're doing props or costumes. Yeah. Maybe even furniture and props for set design. Like that's something you have to enjoy, like rummaging through stuff and finding the perfect thing.
Yeah.
What is the shopping like? How you have got a buyer obviously at Stratford and Shaw.
Both theaters have buyer departments that sort of do
departments of buyers.
Of buyers. In Stratford, it's great. There are two people that run the buying department, and because of the volume of fabric, or the materials needed. There's a lot of these companies in the States that are all catalog companies. So you go in and you pull out this company and all their silks, and then you order it that way. I also get to travel, usually, depending on the size of the show, to New York every year, and I shop for a week, all the fabrics there, and send it back, because it's actually more affordable, and the choices are better. There's still Toronto, but Toronto it's getting smaller and smaller, same stuff. It was great being at Shaw this year and getting to make stuff because, like, I got to see what they have, which is a total different thing. Both theaters have big rooms of just fabric, so it's like, you just hang out there and put stuff together and have a good time. It's so much fun. Much fun.
It's such a remarkable. I mean, it's got to be different than any other place.
Yeah.
And we just found out this week that Designer Fabric is closing in Toronto.
I know. I was like, what morning do I have free?
I know they're selling everything at some sort of deep
50%
discount,
off,
but it's kind of the place to go. I mean, there's
it
obviously
is
other places.
especially if you're doing some period stuff, like you're trying to do corsets and you're wanting stuff that's a little stiffer. Yeah. It's funny. I just gone there and dropped a bunch of cash on Ultra Suede, and now I'm like, I don't feel so guilty because you're gonna need it because nowhere else is gonna have it. Right. So I'm really interested to see what like Susie at Trendy is thinking about this, because that is like. Her and Sheldon have been like sort of the big fabric blocks of downtown. So, but I could tell, like, it was a couple months ago, I went into DFO and I was looking around and I was like, why is there less stock? But then I went there like maybe 3 weeks ago and I was like, oh, their stock's back up. So I was like, okay. But someone had said, oh, this is Condo Central. Like they're looking. So
maybe they just brought up all the stuff from the basement.
Yeah, maybe.
From the warehouse.
Yeah, from another place.
That's crazy. Do you think that, New York's always there, and I guess what's the, like sending 3 or 4 people or 2-3 people to New York for a week is...
Yeah, it depends when you go. Like you want to go in January when it's the cheapest. And so usually the first or second week of January, the best time. That last year they sent me in December, which was ridiculous. Like it just happened to be, I was finishing a panto and going to something else, so I had to do it. But it's finding the right time and doing it. And you can do it, like I would suggest, if you're crazy and young and fun, like take the 6:30 flight, shop all day, stay one night, shop all day, and you can ship it from the FedEx on the corner of 40th and then it's gone. Right. And then fly home. You can do it. You can do a one full day. And the people there are fabulous. Like, but again, they're on some of those streets because it's mostly between 7th and 8th, between 40th and 35th. But some of those are being squeezed out because the restaurants restaurants want to move in and take those up. So you are starting to lose vendors we used to have there now.
They must be just moving into the boroughs, into Jersey
totally.
Or something, right?
Yeah, Brooklyn.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay, that's great. And perhaps we should start to transition into your process, whatever that is. Yeah. We've talked about, again, and this is the time on the program where I say we've talked about process before, and that we know about script analysis and
Yeah.
and all those steps, and director meetings, and being in the room and all that stuff. But do you find any approaches that you use that are unique to you, or what's your favorite part of the process?
Part. Usually, I mean, the first thing besides reading the script, is I just say to the director, is there anything in particular you're thinking about? And then I get to go in and put my images together and go to them. So usually they have like 3 things they're thinking about. I want black and white, or whatever it is. And then I kind of go away, and really the world of Google image search is our friend. I am not a Pinterester. Drives me nuts. I'm sure it would be really good. And I have tons of actors that come to me going, do you want me to link you to my Pinterest for this character? And I'm like, no, I can't. I mean, I want to support you, but I can't. But it's just a lot of image searching. I find also when you are percolating, you start seeing what you want in the world. So in a world just sort of wandering around, suddenly I'm like, I am doing stripes, and everyone has stripes in the stores. Like something is happening, that kind of thing. But it's probably similar to everyone's process. I still use mixed media paper. I still draw by hand. I still, the fridge is back.
I'm going to turn off the fridge.
Yes, do it. It's dancing. It sounds like it's dancing.
Think of this as the fridge.
Burp. You did it.
Take that, fridge. Mr. Fry's wines is going to have to be a little bit warm. That's okay. There we go. Sorry. Mixed media.
So I'm still drawing it. And Ken McDonald always is like, why are you not? I taught Judith. I can teach you. No, there's something about I need the hand. Sometimes I am a procrastinator. I need pressure for it to spit out. I'm going to pretend it's because I'm percolating my ideas. But no, sometimes I need fire. Yeah. I like listening to sports when I do it sometimes. Football season is always a good time to draw. Okay. I don't know what's happening, but it's noise.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's an odd perk.
I know.
But interesting.
But yeah, I think it's all that kind of thing. Also, I again, when I was younger, I was sort of self-conscious about my rendering style. Mm-hmm. And I think at some point someone just said to me, oh, it's just a tool to get you there. Mm-hmm. So I think once you could do that and be like, oh, it's totally cool, then you will start developing, especially after, your 10,000 hours or whatever it is. And then you're like, oh, I can draw that and that doesn't suck. And even now I had to pull some crap out for a portfolio review. And I was like, oh, those aren't bad. Why was I so anxious about it? I'm not Christina Pajubiak.
Right, yes. Well,
but
no one is.
No, really, no one should be. She's so amazing.
I feel like getting older, yes, older, I feel like yes. the best thing about that is learning to not give a shit about, don't be precious. You're a communicator. Like you're just like a designer is a communicator.
Excuse me.
This is what you do for your living. You make choices.
Yeah.
You synthesize information, let me reverse that. You synthesize information, you make choices, you communicate those choices, and people are remarkably forgiving. Now, if you put your drawing up on stage, people are going to go, well, maybe you should have worked a bit more on that, but that's not what it's for.
No, they'll never see it. It's just a start.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's, if you can kind of let go of that. Also, there's so many people now that just do collage or whatever it is, and it works. It just works. It's about the information getting across. So, and then I said earlier, I'm the person that doesn't paint. I go and shop to build the palette usually, and then go from there.
That seems like a bit of a lucky thing to be able to do.
Yeah, I am completely lucky. Like, I do not doubt. Like, I have theaters paying me to shop. So it's pretty great. And in a way, I'm one of those people that totally believes in the force. Like, I'm like, sure. It's just the force is telling me to choose that fabric because it's sitting here and it's that thing. And I really am more of an instinctual designer than one that's going to come at you with too much research. I think there's a point, especially like when we did Rocky Horror this year, I was like, I I didn't watch the movie. Like I made a point not watching the movie. So I could be a little freer and not feel like and there's a lot of directors that are like, well, did you see this production and something, they want you to look at it. And I was like, you know what? I'm not ready to look at it. I can look at it later, but I really don't want, because I also, sometimes when you're making choices, you can't quite tell where you've seen them. I don't want to actively be like trying to copy someone. So that's important to sort of keep it, put some restriction. I like some restriction around me while I'm creating.
One of the things that's been going on through the Designers Guild, every once in a while, someone will have a conversation. You know about the Designers Guild on Facebook?
Yeah.
There's a conversation for those who are not part of the Designers Guild about copycat, about people recreating other people's designs, especially coming from directors. I saw this thing, they did it this way in this San Francisco production. We should do that here.
Yeah.
And I've gone on a couple of rants about it. I've gone on rants on this show, actually, in the preamble, so I won't rant too much. But how do you manage to, I mean, your job is to create something that's perfect for the show and make those choices and make your own choices. Has that ever been a problem? Do you, like, how do you manage that?
I mean, let's say also this time when we did Timon, I did the set as well. Right. So, and Lorenzo wasn't available to do it again. But also the director was sort of tied to that production. So it really was, I had to really be clear and say, I am not doing Lorenzo's design. We can be inspired by Lorenzo. And I called Lorenzo too and I said, let's talk. This is what I'm thinking for the show. I just want to make sure that you are cool with all these sort of things. And yeah, again, he was totally like, yeah, all good. But I think, and I think also if someone points it out, being very aware that you've maybe accidentally taken it from something, because sometimes it just sits in your eye and you're making the exact same choice. Like even this year when I did Music Man, I put a particular character in purple again, and then I was looking at the pictures and he had also put it in purple, and in my head I was like, did I just do purple because he did purple? Like, but sometimes these things need to repeat. It's your own version of it. But yeah, just be aware, try and be aware of your sources. And if you're surprised that you have accidentally copied someone, own it, and reach out if you can. Yeah. But also, directors, don't ask. Don't ask for the same thing. Just don't.
Note to directors out there, please.
You want us to do something better.
That's why you hire a designer.
Yeah.
Okay, so set. Was King Harry IV Part 1?
I think that was probably my first Stratford set and my last Stratford set for a while.
Oh, okay.
It was on the Patterson, and it was...
Which is a difficult space to work in.
Difficult space. Love that theater.
If you've never been there, it's like a long bowling alley. How long is the deck? It's probably 60 feet long?
I actually thought it was like 36, but maybe it's 45.
It feels like it's 60
long.
feet long.
Yeah.
Okay, but go on.
And it used to have a back wall, right too?
Yeah.
And then now it was in the round. It's been the round for the last couple of years. So... Santo Laquasta was doing the other show, and he had designed a metal staircase to go across it. And so you had to incorporate that into your design. So we did a lot of mixed metals with stuff, and it was good. It was a Manette production. So Richard, who was so generous to me, sometimes was not too interested in the design process. Oh, okay. Right. So he would sort of check out. Yeah. And I had some difficulties with a few cast members on that show who were struggling. I can look at it that they were struggling because they were not feeling that they weren't understanding who they were as characters. And that can come at you. Yeah. There's a lot of times when you're doing a show where you're getting costume notes, and it's actually not about the costume. It's actually about the performance that the person's trying to get. It just happens. So it was a pretty tough show. And it was also a time in the shop where I was a young woman doing a set in an old theater shop. And there was a particular builder who was sort of rude to me at the time. And that was tough. So I didn't walk away from that experience being thrilled with it. Sure. But I think it, looking back, I'm like, oh, that looks pretty good. Mm. And I was probably taking bigger risks than I do now, just because now I'm like, well, let's do this. But then you're trying to push and do those things, and learning that some stuff that you're building is going to be way too heavy, and making that like I'm like, oh, tube steel, heavy. But yeah, so that was Stratford, and then I started doing more in Toronto. I think after that, I mean, there was some stuff in Can Stage. I did the park one year, so yes, I have worked at Can Stage with Kelly Thornton, and
That is kind of a trial by fire in Toronto. Like,
Yeah.
the park is a really interesting place to work.
park
right?
was pretty fun,
Yeah.
pretty crazy. It was their first or second year of them having that set up with Doug Parishchuk
Right.
design there. So yeah, it was good. Paul Shaw I think it was one of Paul Shaw's last year.
Yeah.
And
Note to face
Yeah.
made at microphone. You worked at the Globe several times in a row at the beginning of between 2009 2011.
yes, that was. I'm trying to remember how I got to the Globe. I think Michael or David Latham, who I did Agamemnon with, brought me out there, and I met them, and then they started inviting me to design sets there. So I started doing that consistently in sort of my off Stratford season.
I like the
which was
Globe a
good.
lot.
Very nice.
Yeah, Ruth Smiley is
Yeah.
a delight.
It's great to. It's also. It's a puzzle again. Like, how do you do it in the round there?
And it's not a symmetrical. There's a symmetry in the space, but it's not down the middle.
No.
It's off. It's like a little lock and key. And it's deceptively difficult to make choices.
And you're doing plays that are definitely pros shows, right?
Yeah.
Too, like
Yeah.
Sexy Laundry. I was like, stuff like that. So that was all good. And then I think the Grand started picking me up or something, which is great, and a little bit of YPT action. So yeah, and suddenly all the regionals. I think the Grand is the one that really started getting me more regional set work, and then Shaw last year I did set and costume right out the bat for TC, which was great because it's really nice to be here
And that means your contract is super long.
super well. If you're on the last slot, it's very long. Michael Gianfrancesco did warn me. He was like, "This is a long slot," but I'm trying to eat a lot of gelato and be patient.
There is a new gelato place in town.
Have you been to the
I walked
yellow
past it
one?
and went, "Oh, it's not a gelato."
Oh yeah.
So I haven't eaten it yet, but I'm in Niagara Falls all week, so I'll just on my way.
Yep.
So are you a renderer for sets? Are you a model builder for sets? What do
I'm
you
a
start
model builder for sets. I really sort of rather get in there and then draft it afterwards. It's better sense of awareness for me. It's so funny because right now I'm trying to just build a basic model box, because usually I just hire someone to do that part so I can start playing. And I forgot how hard building a model box is. I was like, oh my God, it's just 4 walls in the front, and it's killing me.
It has to be specific. You can't. You're not designing a theater.
I know,
you're
you can't just sort of
recreating.
jam some boxes in there.
Don't they have an assistant here for you at Shaw?
They do, Hannah Luzin, but she's just doing all the other stuff, and I think she's so busy with Sherlock that I don't have to be like, hey, do you want to do some side work for me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, can you tell me about the conversation I had with Jamie Nesbitt about Rocky Horror?
Yeah.
And about integrating projections in with the set and lights and costumes. He was talking about how you guys chose palettes.
Yeah, certainly working with Michael before too. Sometimes Michael and I just sit down. Sometimes as a costume designer, you just have to suck it up, because by the time the set is designed, they're like, this is your thing. Try and have your costume seen on it. But Michael, because we are also, he's one of my best friends, we will sit down and put some colors out and start to pick palettes. And then usually I just have to change the tone. Like if he does a cool, I'm going to do a little warmer so it pops and stuff like that. And certainly for Rocky was a really interesting experience, because at the end of it, we all were like, this really looks like one show. So there had to be something in there in what research we were sending. Certainly Michael and Jamie had a really tight relationship. Also Walton too, right? The Michaels and all that. So for me, I mean, I didn't have a lot to do with the projections, but I did in one sense, is that some of the stuff Jamie wanted to have, like Dan's hands coming in, Frankenfurter's hands coming in and stuff. So I would do these makeup shoots and we'd photograph it. And so he could do it all that, putting those people into the show. So that was the first time I really had to do, I did a little bit of that with Nick Bottomley on Possible Worlds too, but that was the first time we were really trying to do some film stuff. We're actually having to do a bit of that on Sherlock too. So it's pushing to have your costume set a little earlier, and hopefully you're not going to have something that's so different that you need to reshoot. But yeah. And again, I was with Michael, we were both doing both shows and they were so different. Like there's one of my favorite photos I have is like the fitting room and half of it is Rocky Horror and the other half is Music Man. And it looks so different. But we had a really good time on that show. Maybe because it's so short. It's so short. Yeah. It's awesome. And it again,
there's not many changes in it either with Rocky. Like everyone kind of starts off as they ended,
I sort of gave him a couple extra changes
nice.
just
to give him something to do.
Just because I could.
Yeah.
And it's funny. There is some review for it, and I usually don't read reviews, but Rocky was so fun. I kind of read a few, and there was one where they complained about how I gave Dan too many looks. And I was like, I hear you, because I think with Rocky too, my main concern was, is this gritty enough? And that was a question I asked a couple of people. I was like, is this too Disney? Like, is it too pretty? Because it is easy nowadays with all, the drag race and all that kind of stuff. Our aesthetic has changed and it's sort of lacking that other thing. So I'm not sure it's perfect for me either. I probably should spray everything with blood a couple times and more mud. Right. But it is what it is. And there's so much sequin work and reflection in it that it really helps with with the projections and the light. There's a lot of reflection. So, yeah. Shauna saw it. You haven't seen it yet.
I know. I was supposed to see it, and then
whatever.
I don't know. I'm in school. I got things to do.
Life, man.
I got things to study and places to be and livers to palpate and all those things. Hopefully not to palpate. You shouldn't be able to feel your liver. If you do, go see your doctor. So Mike, my iPad is shut down, so that's fine.
There you go.
What do you want to do
with the rest of
the rest of your life? What do you want to do? Like, what's a challenge that you feel like you want to face that you, have you thought about that? Or is it just because of the nature of the business, you're like, what's my next contract?
You know what? I think both, right? There is because you are currently in my career, I'm booking the year ahead. Yeah. So I'm trying to plan my life and my family's life. Mm-hmm. But I am at that stage too where, because I do have consistent work at the festivals, which I've gone through a couple artistic directors at Stratford, so it's probably time that I'm not there sooner or later. So I'm kind of prepping for the release. So part of it was, do I go back to school? Am I interested in teaching? Can I afford to go back to school? But ideally, I would really like to get into some dance work. Yeah. I'd love to do some ballet. I'd love to, again, first love. So I would love to get back to that. And I do like opera. So I'm sort of split. I'm like, I want to push higher and maybe try and get some international gigs at some point. Not quite sure how that's going to happen. Or will I teach in the end? And I think the thing with teaching is I don't have an MFA. And so I've gone and seen all the schools in Canada and talked to the people. And the only one, York seems to be the only one that is flexible for me. Yeah. So it would just be a question of really, pulling the cord and doing that, and maybe doing it on a part-time basis, because I can't actually. I think the problem is now, as I've done everything wrong, I should have just gotten my MFA immediately. I should have gone into independent theater and worked my way up. So I was coming to Stratford in my 40s and my 50s, not at 29 or whatever I started designing there. The problem is now is if I drop out for 3 years to go get a degree, I will drop out. Yeah. I can't. So I'm it's a bit of a pickle. So right now I'm just riding the contract wave. But things will change.
It is kind of remarkable in theater how people disappear. Oh, we feel like people disappear so quickly. And you can't take a year off or 2 years off to go do something different. If it's something in theater, like you're doing some sort of project, that then at the end of the year you go, ta-da, there's a project. I guess it's a different thing. But it is kind of remarkable how fickle and instant the business is.
Because I do think that the opportunity of a sabbatical, I certainly find these days where I'm like, I would just give me 3 months, 3 months where it's okay and I can do it. Because I think when you carve some time for yourself, it gets sucked into your studio time, and that can be tough.
Artist development is not something we do very well here.
No,
right?
no, and everyone else has the funding for it. Like there's artist development for directors and all that stuff, but I don't really see it for designers, except for these assistant designer positions. But you're working your tits off, you're going hardcore all the time. So, you're not really getting the time to breathe, just to sit. I would love the opportunity for some shows to redo the show, to make changes instead of just getting it to opening night. Especially on productions that are long, because they don't really redo them again. But every once in a while, you're like, if I could just redo that dress, or if I could just paint that wall a different color, where someone like Robert Lepage or these companies where they get to workshop and they really get to get to that. So it would be wonderful to figure out when we can start being able to afford to workshop our shows with production values. Because when you see some stuff at the National Theater or whatever, like I don't know if you saw People, Places, Things. Oh, so good. But again, going into a few shows where you're like, they had time. They really had time. I can tell that everyone was in the room. They really reworked it and worked it. And I think we need to start somehow getting back to that, whether it's even on a small scale or a big scale,
It is odd that, like, maybe, I think you're right. I think we need to start, there has to be a grant for artist development for design and, not mixed media, sorry, but just designers.
Yeah.
I wonder how that looks like. I was thinking, like, how, like a playwright will go away and write a play or not.
Yeah.
Like, what's the product of the end of that?
Yeah, I think if you could be like, I'm just gonna study a certain period. That's all. It doesn't.
I'm gonna go to
that's the thing.
London and go to the Portrait Gallery.
Yeah, Portrait Gallery.
Yeah,
that would be great.
Yeah.
Those sort of things. Because the one we're all shooting for is the Seminovich, and only one person gets that. They can't take us all with them.
Yeah. And by that point, you're paying off your mortgage, maybe, or getting a mortgage for the first time.
Yeah, all that stuff. Damien Atkins and I were talking about the other day, and he completely thinks I'm lying. But I do think some of it is, a mixture of talent, right place, right time, and just being lucky or whatever it is. And he was like, no, I think it's being able to seize on opportunity. That sort of was his thought on it. But me, I was like, well, there are a lot of talented designers out there that, so this is just the lot that I got.
Yeah, I feel like people, there's a bit of a bias because the people who don't make it, we never see again. Mm-hmm. Right? Like I'm thinking of the people who I went to school with as well.
Yeah.
And, I know a few of them are still working in the business. The people who are still working in the business tended to go into corporate, giant rock and roll, or working for the city.
Yeah.
Like doing commercial work or doing production work for the city. And
some of it was like if your parents could help you out.
Yeah.
Because it was those moments in between where you were really stuck. And we had maybe a little more flexible EI at the point too, but like if you were totally stuck, and that was always a sense of the super shitty side, is that's why sometimes you got people that were really from elite families because they could afford to not work. Right.
It's interesting.
And be available.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that. I know that Kevin Lamont and I had a conversation. I'm not sure because he and I spoke on the very second episode of the second collection, like episodes 3 and 4 of the title block. And I think I don't know if we actually got to that point then, But one of the things that we had spoken about before that was this kind of silver spoon designers, like the people who in the 70s and 80s who came from families who supported them, could get through the lean years and could do 3 or 4 things over 6 months and stay in the business until things got better. But, back then, people were getting paid even less.
Yeah.
You can't, you need that support in order to do this, which is kind of shitty.
Yeah.
I mean,
because it really breeds elite theater.
Yeah.
And even Ontario is so much easier, I guess. But I was in Vancouver a couple of weeks ago, and I met a young designer there. Not really young, actually. We're the same age, but we were discussing how many gigs you needed to do. Yeah. And she was like, 10. And I was like, oh my, I can't do 10 in a year. No. Certainly can't.
Only lighting designers can do 10 in a year. And we do 15 or 20.
Totally.
And that's a lot of work.
Yeah. That was the one thing at school is I wish that they were more open about how much money you could make, right? Not that I would have changed a lot of our opinions because we didn't really know what that money was anyway. But the fact that being a successful designer means maybe you're making 40 plus, after all the write-offs and stuff like that. Because I think, there's a real misconception about the kind of money you're raking in. Certainly you can live, but you are not doing it for the money. Yeah.
Again, another theme on the program. Sadly, and I don't want to end on that point because every time we get to this point in the, at the 3/4 or 3/5 or 4/5 of the way through, I'm like, oh my God, why are people doing theater anymore? How do we people
why are we doing this?
Why are we doing this? Because I go to Stratford and see Guys and Dolls, a play with which I have very little affinity, and go, God, that's misogynist. Oh my God, that language. Oh, how do they treat that person? And then go, holy shit, did you see Sit Down, Rock on the Boat? That was the most phenomenal piece of theater I've ever seen in such a long time. And you're up on your feet clapping and going, God, why am I not doing this right now? Because I'm doing 17 other things. And I'm sure Rocky Horror is the same way.
Totally.
Or even work, and it's not necessarily the spectacle. It's about the work, right? It doesn't have to be the $1 million production at Stratford. It can be the storefronts.
Totally.
Or the, what is Ted Dykstra's company?
Coal Mine.
Coal Mine.
For
like
sure.
Sitting 3 feet away from not Comfior, Juan Kjorn, or Robert Persicchini, and having them act their face off for you 3 feet away and go, this is the most excellent thing I've ever done in my world. That's why we do it. And I think that that's important. And I think the money, you have to be able to pay. We should pay our artists more. We should increase fees. With that, Jamie Nesbitt on the last interview, that's the one thing that he was trying to push, and I agree with it. And but gosh, it's fun.
Yeah, it is fun. There is it's such a moment of high, like on a really good tech dress because also I always find tech dresses are successful because the actors are also they're a little high on getting dressed and putting their stuff on, and everyone's really racing around, and it's awesome. It can be really awesome. There's so many things about the business too that need work. But it still sucks me back in every time, right? I love it. I really do love it. Yeah. Every once in a while, I'm like, I'm going to go back to management. And then I'm like, I don't really know if I could do it. Right. Yeah. I might have to do it. There might be a time where I have to. But right now, this is good. This is really good.
Well, that's delightful. I think that we'll just leave it there.
There we go.
On a happy note. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
That was set and costume designer Dana Osborne talking to me from Niagara-on-the-Lake in July of 2018. Next time, an interview with designer Glenn Davidson. You do not want to miss this one. The music for this podcast is by Vern Good with voiceover by Gabriel Cropley. please go to Apple Podcasts and give us a review. It'll help get the word out about this podcast and share the history of theatre design in Canada. And you can follow us on Twitter at TheTitleBlockCA and on Facebook.com/TheTitleBlockPodcast. You can send comments and requests by email to TheTitleBlock@gmail.com. And don't forget that if you like the show, please support us on Patreon.com. Feel free to share this with your friends, colleagues, students, or teachers, or listen to it while you muse over how hard it really is to build that damn model box. Where's my assistant? I'm Michael Cruz, and I'll see you next time on The Title Block.
Did you see stuff in New York?
Oh my God.
What did you see?
I saw Boys in the Band,
Oh.
which was fucking great.
Was it great?
It was, I love the movie.
Okay.
Because it's so dark.
Yeah.
And yes, it's a comedy for the first third. You're like, oh, that's funny. But the last 2/3 of it like descend into this dark, self-hating, like, which I love. The stage play with a bunch of people in the room is much funnier than I thought. But they weren't playing it up. They were really just playing it straight, so to speak.
Great.
And it's almost the film was adapted from the play almost word for word. There's the endings are a bit different, but so it wasn't. There was nothing surprising, but it was wonderfully acted.
Oh, good.
Jim Parsons. Mm-hmm. It was fucking great, and what's his name? Quinto was great as well.
Oh, was he too? Oh.
Now it's funny. I don't know how bullish the script is on it, the characters it portrays. Like, so-and-so is this type of person and is written and played this way. Because in the movie, the Quinto character is a very growly old queen. And Quinto played him much the same way as the movie. In fact, I thought the guy in the movie was way more successful.
Oh, really? Yeah.
But also, because the guy in the movie was also, first of all, it was filmed so you could get right up close, was not a remarkably attractive gentleman, and he's not supposed to be.
And Quinto
is a bit of a remarkably attractive gentleman, right? So, in a theater you can get away with that. On film you can't. So there was a lot more pathos, I think, in the film character.
Right.
But it's not unfair. It's unfair for me to compare him to that. But I do that because it was so remarkably played very similar. So I wonder if they were given notes by someone who loved
what the
movie.
particular I'm sure it would be hard to follow a film like that.
Yeah. So, but it was enjoyable. It was a room full of old bears, and it was very funny, and the ending was so touching, and it was great. Then we saw Sleep No More,
which is super fun.
Fuck,
but great. But I feel like I'm in a Hinton play. I'm just like running around.
What the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
I went with Arwen. Arwen has seen it 11 times.
Has she really?
She has seen it 11.
Does she know where everyone's going now?
We sat beforehand. We sat in a we went to dinner. She's like, okay, so you're going to find yourself in the middle of the bucket of a rave. You'll know it's a rave. I'm like, how do we know it's a rave? You'll know it's a rave. Make sure to follow this character out of the rave. Now, I had forgotten which character it was.
I never made it to the rave. Is the rave awesome?
It's a full-on fucking bacchanalia.
Wow.
With naked, strobe light, blood, babies. It's the Not a Woman Born witch
Witch
thing.
Spring? I totally missed that.
It's tucked into a long corridor on the fourth floor that you don't get to unless you're like, what is that noise? Which is the first time I was like, behind this wall there is a rave. How can I find the rave? Oh my God, it's a dark hallway with a flickering strobe light at the end of it. That looks frightening. Let's go down there. Anyways, it's built in a bar that is the same footprint and design as the main bar you go into.
Oh,
so you sort of go,
yeah, when you walk in, you're like, yeah.
What the fuck? But it's sort of like the dirty, grungy version of it. And are you going to see it again?
Now that I'm realizing all the shit I missed.
Go see the rave.
Yeah.
At one point, one of the tables turns into, it's a baptismal font. Oh, and in it is like a bloody baby that they then present to like the Scottish king, and then get naked. And then the male dancer is is naked, and there's fucking blood everywhere, and I'm like, do I have blood on me? What's going on? I got in the way twice. I had like the bald witch like push me out of the way. I'm like, oh fuck, I'm sorry, I'm really sorry. And then she picks up this blood and goes, and then you're supposed to follow the male witch out, because if you follow him out, and they all kind of scatter like cockroaches at the end of the thing, and he scatters, and if you follow him, you get to help him towel off and get ready for
well,
the
I
big
was in
banquet.
hers when she was getting toweled off.
Right.
And there was like all these people trying to help her. And I was like, this is weird.
What is going on?
Yeah.
Yeah. It is remarkable. So it was great.
Yeah. It's you have to do it. Like my kid has never done it, but she wears the masks and run around the house.
Right.
So every time, I joke because sooner or later I'm like, oh, there's a Sleep No More mask. It's just.
Yeah. It was great.
So well done.
It was so great. And then we saw Mean Girls.
Oh, okay.
Which I was very skeptical about. I didn't see the movie.
Yeah, I didn't see the movie, so I can't say.
Like, what? And Tina Fey, I am a fan of Tina Fey's comedy. I think she's very funny and smart, and I love where she comes from. Her interview on the David Letterman interview show, the new one, is great. And so I was like, what are we going to see? And then I saw the Tonys, and I saw their number in the Tonys, and I was like, hold on a second. That was a great number. I'm going to go to Mean Girls. I think we should try this out. I like the main character. I like the kind of high school, kind of chubby, gay lead. I'm like, oh, look, me on stage right now singing musical theater. That's what I did in high school. And so I think we should go see that. The Tony number was not the best number in the musical.
Well,
there are
that's
6 or 7 other better numbers.
Wow.
That blew the fucking doors off the place. The music is extraordinary. The band is extraordinary. Every one of the leads can belt beyond the walls. The story is great. The design is a giant video wall. Whatever. But it has some surprising, wonderful moments in it. Like it was built for this. If you're going to do it, this is the show you should do it for.
Yeah.
And I was in just unbelievable tears by the end of the show.
Oh, well, that's good.
Like several times.
Sign.
It was so emotionally, like the music was so emotionally powerful, just from its just in the talent of the delivery and the messages, and the core message of the thing was great. Like I was fucking blown away. Totally worth it.
I'll be
good.
there in January, so I'm always like, what am I going to see?